Hello and welcome to Puzzle Creators React, the new mini-series from the Infinite Escape Room, where we look at escape rooms and puzzles from film and TV from a game design and industry point of view. I'm Mairi Nolan, and as well as being part of the Infinite Escape Room, I am a puzzle designer who's worked in tabletop, physical escape rooms, video games, and of course, audio escape rooms right here in the Infinite Escape Room, which, if you're new to the show, is a weekly series where one of us presents one part of the Infinite Escape Room while the others try to solve it. Most importantly, I will be your host for this week, and joining me in this strange liminal space this week, we have...
I'm Jamie Gibbs, and as well as being a puzzle podcaster, I'm also a puzzle and game designer for tabletop and live escape games. I've also done a bit of escape room consulting in my time, and I've also run a few bespoke escape events as well.
And we also have a very special guest joining us this week.
Oh, hi, I'm Alex Hylands-White. I'm a co-founder and a director at Clockwork. We used to design escape rooms and even had a game make it into the first Turpica Top 100 list called Loop.
Woo.
Now we're focused on building our show control system, COGS, which is used in escape rooms and other immersive experiences around the world.
Woo.
I love it. It seems to be that whenever I go to like a really good escape room, there's one of two things when I ask about this system. It's either we use COGS or we've got like the most complicated bespoke system that I've been working on for the past 10 years and no one's allowed to touch it. So it's good. Like it's one of those two camps.
Pretty much. That's what we've discovered as well. Yeah.
I've started just walking into escape rooms and be like, oh, do you use COGS? And when they say no, I'm like, oh, okay.
You gotta get on that, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks very much. Yeah, you could just do my job for me. That'd be
This episode brought to you by...
Yeah, I need to pay a bit more money. Yeah.
And before we get into it this week, I just want to quickly shout out this week's Patreons. They are Abigail, Levi, and Mohit. Without our wonderful patrons, this show would quite literally not be able to stay on the air. Someone has to pay for John's legal fees.
They're extortionate.
So yeah, back to it. This week we're doing something a little bit different for this series. So Puzzle Creators React is all about taking an episode of a TV show, a film, or another piece of media that has some kind of escape room in it and talking about it as if it were a real escape room. So just like you get in normal TV shows, you've got like the beach episode or the prom episode or the flashback episode. What we've been seeing more and more is the escape room episode, and we love it. So far in this series, we've done the Brooklyn Nine-Nine escape room episode. But today, in honor of it being the beginning of October and the start of spooky season, we're watching something a little bit more scary, which, by the way, when I watched at 7 a.m., ruined my day.
Yeah, don't start your day with that.
It's a quite heavy thing to start your day with.
Yeah.
Quite. So yeah, we are, of course, talking about Inside Number 9's episode CTRL ALT ESCAPE, which is Season 9, Episode 4. As always with this series, we're going to be reviewing it as if it were a real, actual escape room, what worked, what didn't work, and what we as puzzle designers and people in the industry might improve about it. Quick note, normally we don't have to spell it out on this series, but for those not familiar with Number 9, there is often a big twist or reveal. So for this episode, I have to give you a massive spoiler warning for the twist in this episode. So if you haven't watched CTRL ALT ESCAPE of Inside Number 9, pause this podcast, go and give it a watch and come back in about half an hour and press play where we left off. So yeah, let's get into it. As mentioned, this episode first aired on May 29th, 2024. As you've both already explained, Inside Number 9 is a British TV show created by the fantastic Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith. Every episode is completely standalone and takes place, as the title suggests, inside Number 9, so behind a mysterious door. Often comedic, but quite often quite dark in its themes and humor, and almost always has a big twist. So I guess a good comparison would be like Black Mirror, if people are familiar with that.
Yeah.
I mean, before we get into the specifics of this episode, what do you both think of Inside Number 9 more broadly? Like, you've seen all of the seasons, I guess?
At least once. It's I've been a big fan of Shearsmith and Pemberton for since the League of Gentlemen days, and I went to see the Inside Number 9 live show earlier in the year in London, which was incredible.
No way.
It is fantastic. If you ever get a chance to see it, please do, because they adapt the show format well to the stage and play with the space that they're in really well. They've done a really good job. It's a shame that the series itself is finished, but it's so good.
Yeah, I agree that I really like Inside Number 9. I was a bit late to it. One of my other co-founder, Tom, put me onto it, and I did absolutely burn all of it, basically. And for me, like in my previous life, before I did Clockwork Dog, I was a filmmaker. So I used to make short films. So it's really good to see a vehicle which makes short form stories, which is a popular channel. It's not something you often see. It's like short film episodes which are all completely standalone. And yeah, it's actually quite a sort of testament to writing, sort of fit everything in 30 minutes. I mean, to be honest, it was. I actually hadn't seen this one until I was asked to do this one because I hadn't seen the latest series. And essentially, I was like, it was quite weird for me to sort of see a British escape room presented on screen. I don't think I've ever seen that done before. Anything that escape rooms are in, generally American. And it was, well, we'll get on to this, but I actually thought it was pretty accurate in lots of ways. But they'd obviously done their research. Oh, totally. And because it's British, everything's just a little bit kind of crap. Like, you're just like, in that, like,
wonderful.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, everyone's a little bit sort of like down on themselves. There's quite a lot of snarky comments. And the game master is obviously the owner, because I think the game master of that age would be too old. It's obviously the owner of the escape room. And they mention at the beginning some other escape room that the family had played in Chester or something, and he kind of has a bit of a look on his face, like, I guess he doesn't really like that other escape room. And he's like, did all the puzzles work? And he's like, they're like, did all props work? They're like, yeah, most of it. I was like, yeah. And already in with this episode, like, these are all accurate depictions. And the little rivalries between escape rooms, which do happen, quite amusing.
So right. So much. Did the props work?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Of course, if they're on COGS, they were perfectly.
Of course. They should have got on COGS.
Yeah, the COGS wasn't mentioned, so I almost turned off within the first time.
Completely broke the immersion for me, the lack of COGS in that episode.
Yeah, just like I thought their introduction was kind of spot on, and even the little detail at the beginning where he tries to do a little spooky voice with a torch, and the torch doesn't work, which is just like 100% every escape room I've ever been in. The torch doesn't work. It's just, if anything, it's now just escape room bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the fact that the GM is an out of work actor as well, like that line between performers and escape room GMs is the middle of that Venn diagram is basically a circle. Like they're the same kind of folks. And the fact they got that in there as well, like, yeah. How many escape rooms has Pemberton and Shearsmith done as part of the research?
I actually have an answer for this. So I looked this up. This is one of the bits of research I did. How much escape rooms did they play? There was only one notable one I could find, and I have a picture up in front of me of their like end of game. I will say the answer will be surprising, and it's a chain company they went to.
Oh, interesting. Oh, is it Escape Hunt?
Yes, it's Escape Hunt. Oh. They did The Fourth Samurai, which
okay, like, I did that one in Bristol.
That's one of their like original OG games. Yeah.
Anyway, that's the very useful context you need going into this escape room, is that they played The Fourth Samurai before making an escape room episode.
For some reason, I thought they'd probably played a horror room for like that, because I thought because they're doing a horror theme, and the idea of a person coming in sort of that you have to hide from is a very sort of big horror trope. So I thought maybe they'd found that.
Absolutely.
But
maybe they did more, but this is the one that's sort of available on the internet. But yeah, let's get into what the actual room is, because I feel like we've said a little bit about the room, but we haven't kind of gone through the main facts. So in this particular episode, a family of 4 books to play an escape room in the fictional, and the escape room is called Locked and Loaded Escape Rooms. And I've written in brackets Chester, but we don't actually know it's in Chester, but Locked and Loaded Escape Rooms. The room is, according to the CCTV screen in the opening, room number 9 at this escape room. It stars Steve Pemberton. He's the dad, and he's in this room with his wife and 2 daughters. As you guys said, it's a horror/serial killer theme. It has multiple spaces inside the room. It's got a crawl space. It's got a live actor. It's got several puzzles over several different locations. So in short, it is a substantial escape room. Like, it's a real, legit, almost playable escape room.
And it's number 9, which basically means there's 9 escape rooms in this venue in Chester, which is pretty big for a British escape room company to have 9 rooms.
It is.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's an escape complex, not just an escape.
That would be like, everybody would be like, yeah, that's just like most of the city, basically.
It's comparable to the Panic Room in Gravesend, like one of those, right? I feel like they've got about 9 rooms, haven't they? And that's a massive venue.
It actually did remind me a lot of some Panic Room games. That's what I thought. Maybe they would have played one of those. Like they did the Cthulhu game. They did, but it's gone now. But they had an actor coming in that you had to hide from. And then they had the Dollhouse, which again, it reminded me a bit of the aesthetic of the Dollhouse, in that it's sort of a kind of dingy room, and that you get locked. And Steve Pemberton actually does get locked up, chained up to something, which does happen in the Dollhouse.
Yeah, like immediately at the start of the game, and spends the vast majority of the game chained to that bed.
So let's talk about that gameplay flow then. So. I'll correct me if wrong. The 4 walk in, the games master gives his little spiel. He drops something, and then in dropping something, manages a sort of sleight of hand lock up Steve Pemberton, who's actually, his character's called Jason, by the way, if we want to be accurate to the story.
I'm just going to refer to him as Steve.
Steve, yeah, he locks up Steve. There are then sort of the first room's fairly big. They're looking for details about sort of the serial killer's victims. At some point, they open a cabinet, which reveals a crawl space into a second room. And then the puzzle in the second room is a communication one where Steve Pemberton's looking at a CCTV screen and trying to communicate with Morse code. And then the rest of his family are converting that, translating that to get a key. And we don't presume. The key is the key that would unlock him from his shackles and thus escape. Have I missed anything?
Those are the main points for the flow of the main part of the room that involves all the family. Having that multi-part solve for the 4-digit lock, that's a hardcore way to start a room. Having to take there were 4 separate puzzles from 4 separate victims, each giving a single digit to a lock. Like, in terms of onboarding into that room, Jesus Christ, that's straight into the cerebral. But then they open that thing, and it goes immediately to the crawl space in the second room. Like, there's not much time spent in that initial room, which is, I get it, for TV, need to be short, but it's a bit of a missed opportunity there.
Yeah. But having said that, and I can't remember where this fits into the flow, there's a bit where Steve Pemberton opens the drawer and has his own mini puzzle with the rugby postcard as well. So technically they could have done that at any point. That could have been right at the start, but they just happened to do it later in the episode.
That's true. Yeah, well, obviously, I mean, I don't know, have we revealed the conceit of the episode yet?
We're going to have to.
Okay, yeah. I mean, essentially, yeah. Apologies to anyone who hasn't seen this, but this is a big spoiler. But essentially, the entire thing is taking place inside Jason's mind because he is dying, essentially in a coma. And the entire thing is essentially a metaphor for him trying to get out of his coma. Which is only revealed maybe like 10 minutes before the end, or like 5 minutes before the end. And but so essentially up until that point, like if there's anything that's not realistic, then we can just sort of pass it off as, well, it's just a man's imagination, so it doesn't matter. But you don't know that up until that point. You're right that everything's a bit compressed, basically, in terms of like how quickly everything goes, especially with the turning the lights on and off puzzle. So Steve Pemberton has to communicate with the team in another room by turning the lights on and off, essentially. His wife gets it incredibly fast, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone get a puzzle of that. An experienced team might be quite good, but she was straight on it. She was just like, oh yeah, that's definitely him. So
I do wonder with that, though, because there's one line earlier on where one of the daughters mentions to the dad that he's not in the army anymore. So he's a military guy. So I wonder if that's played into the fact that he would know what Morse code would be. Maybe like he's passed down, he's taught his wife, he's taught his kids. So there's a plausibility that she might know. I immediately see that and go, oh, that's Morse code. He's bored me to death with that. All of our marriage.
What a fun dad, just like a sort of like.
I mean, given the interactions with one of his daughters,
are we watching? Are we watching television? It's like, no, we're going to do Morse things tonight again.
Get out with the flags, love. It's semaphore night.
But you're right. But there is something about the dad which is essentially something's wrong, but you don't know at the beginning. But essentially, there's been obviously there's a problem within the family in the older sibling is going off to university, and the father is obviously going to miss her quite a lot. She's being very sarky from like the beginning of the episode, like in more than would be acceptable, I think, in reality. And obviously, it's in his mind, so whatever. But essentially, that sort of becomes the sadness. It's really just about the dynamics of the family, and I think that it kind of hints towards that his wife possibly cheated on him or had something that happened like that in the past that they've come through, and so there's been quite a lot going on. And so there's that. Obviously, the core of the episode really is about that. It's just about kind of like essentially the problems within the family. But then that is also very accurate. I mean, how many times have you like watched an escape room and seen a family come in and they're all just sweetness and light when you meet them, and you watch them go into the room and just tear each other like to pieces, and then and being absolutely awful to each other, and then they come out and they're all sweet again as if you haven't seen anything. I thought that was a pretty good nod to reality.
But it would have been really easy for them because of that core focus on the family and the twist. They could have phoned in the escape room part as just decoration, but they really they did a really good job at crafting a legitimate escape room. Like the first 4 puzzles in that thing, the signposting was brilliant. It was like, if I played that in a room, I'm like, this is great. Like searching around the room, there's like the acrostic signposting to get one of the letters from the victim's letters. There's dates. There's like map pathfinding to do to get another digit. It was really well done.
Yeah.
Like, why don't they do that? Just now that you've finished the series, guys, just make a escape room.
Certainly, they did their research and they actually bothered to try and make it feel like an actual real escape room, which I think a lot of other things that do use escape rooms don't really. They just sort of take the idea of being locked in a room, and that's pretty much all up to they get to, really, and then they don't bother with the rest. But even seeing someone do a puzzle is something I've not really seen in a television show, like the whole rugby part with the paper clips. I'm just like, that is legitimately a puzzle. Like and
that was so satisfying. The rugby one was so satisfying. So for anyone at home, again, spoilers, but there's a postcard and it says rugby and the U is crossed out. And I paused it at the time and I was like, let's try and solve this. And it was actually such a good aha moment. Totally. It ended up being RGBY, red, green, blue, yellow. And then there's a number of paper clips and the color. And that ends up being like the code that unlocks something else. And like, that's a real puzzle. If I played that in a real escape room, I'd be like, yeah, this is legit and fun.
Yeah, and even the lights turning on and off thing, like that's something that, like, again, it's a bit more advanced, I think, in terms of when you're thinking about escape rooms. I think if you never really played as many escape rooms and you watch the show, it actually might help you a bit in terms of like giving you some ideas of like stuff to take forward into other ones, because
that's a very good point.
Because that's stuff like that. Like I definitely didn't notice stuff like that, because when lights are just switching on and off in a room, you just think, oh, that's just weird ambience or whatever, and it takes a while. It takes a while for you to actually understand that that's something that's happening and that it is like there's someone controlling it, and then you have to put it together. But the idea of communicating but not being able to hear is a great mechanic which has been used for years. And again, it's a detail they didn't have to put in, but it's great.
Yeah. There was a black light in that episode. Did that actually do anything at the end? Because did that solve anything?
The black...
I can't remember.
It pointed to a picture frame, and he lifted the picture frame off the wall, and it said "no escape" underneath. But it wasn't.
But there was nothing. It was all part. It was part of the psyche coma thing, rather than being part of the escape room.
Yeah, I think that was when he sort of he kind of goes into a kind of reverie, and that's when he sort of first sees Dr. Death coming in, and then he sort of disappears, and suddenly it's Reece Shearsmith coming in to try and fix something, and that's sort of a bit where you're like, okay, something's up. Either he's got some sort of mental problem where he's having sort of visions, or he's dozing off, or like, it's just you realize that something is just not right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like we've talked a lot about the things we liked. Was there anything
Sure.
both of you didn't like / didn't think worked well in this escape room? I feel very strongly that he should not have been locked up. That feels like
yes.
a fire safety.
That was definitely on my list as well. Like,
yeah, especially without consent.
Yeah,
like, don't do that.
Yeah, it's a big no to be locked up in rooms now. Like, you know, in the early days, it was quite a common thing, but I think we all understand that, like, being physically locked in a room or physically locked to something, not cool anymore. There you go.
Yeah, if this episode was released 10 years ago, you'd be forgiven for it. But 2024, don't do that.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that's something that a lot of these bits of media they always get obsessed with, the being locked in the room part. When we know that is way old now. That's not really a thing that is really concerning. You are never locked in the room. Plus, it's often never the conceit that you are actually locked in a room anymore. It's always you have to just do a task now. You have to complete a mission to get out. And so I feel that, it's weirdly like one of those things that just non-escape room people seem to obsess over quite a lot.
Yeah, the 3 clues thing also rubbed me the wrong way. And it did in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's of all, when I see escape room episodes, the 3 clue thing that the GM gives seems to be like the trope of it. Like, no, we're past this as a species. Stop it. Just give them hints as they need it. Stop making them beg for it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's the way I always used to run games, in that we always thought that it was better to just be like, essentially, like, we'll help you along as much as we think you need it, basically, rather than, and obviously people get like really stuck and start going essentially insane, then it's good to jump in. But making them beg or leaving it too long, I think is generally now considered, is frowned upon, really.
The PC didn't work. Classic. Yes. They don't have a good system like COGS in place that would have just sorted all of that out.
Well, if they'd looked behind the scenes at Escape Hunt, they would have. But I actually thought, something breaks, very common.
Yeah.
I understood, like, in a way, that's a great nod. However, the way the GM came in was wrong. I think that, it's all in his mind, and really, Reece Shearsmith is actually the nurse in the actual room that he's in. But forgetting that, you don't know that yet. For me, it was like he came in and just sort of decided to have a chat and completely came out of the game. And that's just, a GM would, it's the last thing you want to do as a GM is go into the room and fix something. And if you have to do it, you're generally like, I'm not here, and I'll just get on with it and get out as soon as possible to try and like not break the illusion. But he just hung out basically and just was like, oh, how's it going? You know, just sort of like had like a kind of 5-minute chat. I'd be like, that's not professional. I wouldn't be happy if I was his boss. But, you know.
Yeah. Especially where you're still handcuffed to a bed. Like, this is a weird situation. I don't want to be talking to you right now.
Captive audience as well. Like, it's not like Steve could have got up and done something else. He had to sit there and watch. And am I right in understanding Reece explained the puzzle as well? It was like, oh, I need to turn this on, and now you're going to press this button to like see the CCTV.
Yeah.
And that should have been a moment for the player to solve.
Good. That's a very good point. Yeah, you should never, as a GM, just give people the answer. That's not what people have come for. They want to feel clever and do it themselves. So,
what do we think about the final puzzle to get out of the room? The final combination, I say.
Was it?
What are our thoughts on that?
I really liked it.
Really?
I can see from your face, Jamie, you did not like it.
Ooh, let's get into it. What about you, Alex? So that final one where the code to get out was a single digit. That digit was 9. Obviously, and the signposting was the reflection of the word exit, and the E and the T disappear, so you just see the I and the X for 9. What do you think about that?
A single digit lock is not something I've ever come across in my entire life, but it's okay. It's in his mind. So, but yes, I think really what for me is probably why they did it is 9. Exit 9, nice little bit of poetry there. It's like, okay, that works right now. A reflection of something, again, it's very common to use that. I also think they just wanted for the series trailer for Steve Pemberton to say, number 9. Like, and then that is just so getting used in the BBC montage of like upcoming series. And like, you know, that's kind of perfect. But yes, I mean, at the end of the day, it actually kind of, because it's the very last thing that you see before he opens his eyes. It's weirdly satisfying because it's inside number 9. I don't know why. It's completely ludicrous, but it was really satisfying.
I think the idea of a single-digit lock for the final code to get out is a weird sort of twisted genius, because no team in their right mind would ever just go, let's just try one digit every single running up, because you could brute force that and be out within 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I quite like that. And like the reflection, the X, I, and exit becoming 9, that I think was a really great solve. But there's no signposting up until that point to give you any indication that that's the case. And there's no signposting to tell you that it's a single digit code to get out. He tells him that at the end.
True.
So, like, overall, not a satisfying conclusion to get out. But that one snippet of puzzle would work anywhere else and would be really nice.
Yeah. For me, I just love the moment. It calls back to a lot of escape rooms I've done where the answer has been staring you in the face. And I liked the positioning of the mirror where he was like chained up. And so he had seen that the whole way through. And again, watching this episode for the second time, like, yeah, I'd seen that exit sign so many times. I even think I'd seen the E and the T flickering. So like given a tiny bit more thought, I could have spotted it. I think it was there. You're right. Not well signposted at all, but a very fun like rug pull, like, whoa, it was right there. And I think just on the point of a single digit lock, I don't think it would have been brute forceable, because if I understand correctly, that was the lock that was like a keypad one. And quite often those will lock you out if you do the wrong one. So I can see people not attempting that early until they were sure they got the answer in case they got locked out, which don't get me started on the health and safety of the exit door. That's
no risk assessment was done on this building.
This was his imagination didn't include health and safety, unfortunately. I mean, I quite like the idea of if a GM at the beginning of a puzzle, the game actually said, like, look, the code for this story is only one digit, but you get one go.
Yeah,
like I quite that's actually quite cool, because you're just like, well, there's a 1 in 10 chance we could get it right, or we have to do that.
That's nice. Yeah, because even 3 tries and you're out.
Good odds.
That's like tempting. It's tempting, but I think the one chance to get it right with a single digit, like just the immense pressure to get that would actually be quite a nice concept to get out. Whoever's listening who builds rooms, make it happen.
There's always someone in the team who's like, I'm gonna just press the button, and then it's like, why would you do that? I don't know.
Yeah,
especially after the stag and hen parties.
They actually did mention that at the very beginning. He actually said, like, he actually says, like, stag and hen parties are the worst, and it's just like, yeah, they are.
They've had some conversations with GMs in the research for this episode just to get all the different gripes and stuff that doesn't work. And
totally. And I love that about that they did that they obviously just were like, we're going to go hard on this and add lots of detail.
One more thing real quick I want to point out. Did you guys notice this, that it was a 4-player minimum room? There was a moment where they split 2-2 in different rooms, and then I think it's the mum comes on the sort of communications and says, oh, we need other daughter to come through because we need 3 players. We don't see this puzzle exactly, but that made me think, okay, this is a 4-player minimum room. I don't think it needed to be. I think it could have been a 2-player room. But do you guys have any thoughts on that?
True. I mean, they do get split up. So that to me maybe would be the bit when you're needed. We don't really know what they're doing in the other room. And so it could be that they need, well, as it is, they needed 3 people in that room and then there's only 1 in the other room, which has happened. And I have been in rooms where like one person's been split off and I've been that
especially in horror.
Especially in horror. And to be honest, it's not pleasant being the person on your own, because you're just like, oh, I don't have my friends who are often cleverer than me in some way. But
isn't that just life though? I mean,
exactly. It's just a microcosm of life in escape rooms. But essentially, I think there must have, you're right, there must have been a reason they'd said that, but mainly the conceit was probably just to get the other person in the room, basically, who the one who just didn't really want to play, was going to sit outside, just to give you that initial very clear message that there's a problem between in the family, which I think is a nice way of putting it.
Having the team split across the 2 rooms is nice, and having it so that they're interacting. Yeah, in sort of real room terms, requiring 3 players to do a single task while one person's in the other room, chained to a bed and not really be able to do anything else, might have been that satisfying for the person who's chained to said bed. All right, they've had like 1 or 2 puzzles to solve on their own, but by the looks of it, they never get to see the crawl space. They never get to see that second room. Like crawling through bits in an escape room is my favorite thing to do. Like any room that's got that immediately doubles in terms of my enjoyment.
Yeah.
Why would you deny somebody that? So yeah, they could have done without needing 3 players in that one room to do a single
Agreed.
puzzle.
I think we played a room, Mairi, in Germany where you
I
were
was
on
just
your own.
about to say it.
Okay,
That's
go
exactly
for it,
what I was going to say. No, 100%. Well, you were about to say the exact same thing, but yeah, Alex and I played an escape room in Germany, Titanic 2.0, and we played it as a team of 3, but I was the one on my own, and I was in this tiny little room for most of the escape room with not much to do, whilst Alex and our friend David were like crawling around and doing cool stuff. And
having fun.
I mean, it was a fantastic room, but this conversation is definitely reminding me of that experience.
Yeah, and you missed like half the set. Like you only got to see like 2 of the 5 rooms essentially, because me and Dave got to see all of it. Which I think is, you're right, it just is that bit of thing where if you're only going to play a room once, and essentially you nearly always do, then that's you feel a bit shortchanged, I think, being the loner.
A little bit. I could play that room again, but I would not be that person in the tiny box.
Yeah. Find the person that you like the least in the group and go, yeah, you go in there. You go in there.
I had something happen to me a few years ago. It was in break-in escape rooms in London, and it was the Batman game. And there was a section where essentially you're supposed to be split into one person is in a very small room and the rest of the group is in the big room. However, because a door opened to the small room, everybody filed into it except me. And then it locked. And I was like, I was the only one in the big room. And then the 3 people were in the small room. So I had to do 3 people's jobs as they shouted to me through a tiny hole. And I think I got my left and right mixed up at one point. And then all I could hear was my friend Mai going, he doesn't know his left and right, he's an idiot. And I was just there on my own, just going, I'm so angry now. Just sort of like, I was just saying flustered.
That's the Crystal Maze spectator sort of feeling, where you've got one person in the room, everybody else is watching and judging you, but unable to contribute anything to the room. You're like, no, it's easy for you to stand up there and judge me. You damn it.
I felt awful. But there you go.
Well, then, as like game designers / people who've played a lot of escape rooms / people in the industry since the beginning, if you're in charge of designing this escape room / like fixing it, let's say tomorrow they bring it in, they're like, we need to update this escape room. What would you guys improve about it?
Health and safety.
Definitely. Love that.
Day 1 risk assessment.
Obviously the tech. I mean, I'm upgrading it immediately, making sure that computer works. I guess I love that the actor coming in and having to do something. I think that's good. I think essentially I always like it when there is any sort of actor in a room. So I think obviously the actor in the end is Dr. Death. He's actually is Death. He's coming to kill him. But I always like it when there's more to do with an actor rather than just hide. There's something you have to like. For example, another escape room played in Germany, which is essentially the Monkey Island game that Dream Labs have made. You interact with an actor as if you are interacting in Monkey Island, and you see something behind a bar, and he's the barkeep. Spoiler. But essentially, you have to interact with him in a way you would have to in Monkey Island to be able to take the thing. As in, you have to distract him in some way, and it has to make sense. And so I love it when there's any sort of actor interaction in a game. So I probably make him a bit more interesting as a character rather than just a sort of hammer wielding madman.
Yeah,
I think I would have getting the handcuff to the bed thing. All right, not great, but it's fine. But make getting them out the first puzzle. That should be step 1. And then they get to enjoy the rest of the room, and then that's a decent enough onboarding to that 4-digit lock with the 4 separate puzzles leading into the crawl space. You've done a quick search for the key or something simple, and then you can build up to the more complex puzzles after that, and sort of just tweak that signposting at the end to make that solve a bit more satisfying.
Agreed. I think going straight out of the gate with a very complicated puzzles. Often you're given one thing at the beginning and you're just like, okay, this is an easy one to get me going, essentially. And really the first thing should be him being unlocked. Should be the first thing ever in an escape room. If you are going to be locked up, and which you shouldn't, then him being released is the first thing generally, because it is boring being attached to something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. For me, I've gone way too deep into the story, but the best thing about this whole episode, I think, is the twist in true Inside Number 9 form. So I would try and integrate that into the escape room, especially because you have a live actor who, and they clearly say when they come, hide. And I don't think they played enough with that. And so I would have the people hiding more and getting themselves into a situation where they hide inside, like, they lie down and they hide under a bed, and then a quick scene change where you pull back the covers and it's like, oh, I was in a coma this whole time. I think I'd play into that. Easy set
agreed.
to do, easy twist to do. And yeah, it would just reframe everything you've just done from like, mediocre escape room to, oh my God, I can't believe this is just...
Totally. That is where my mind went at the beginning of the episode. So me and the other directors of Clockwork Dog always had this idea ever since the beginning, which I don't know if anyone's ever done, but essentially it's like the escape the room, where like you go into escape room and it's basically like, it's very boring. They explain how locks work and it's all, some things don't work and it's all a bit kind of jokily bad. And then essentially there's one point where you open a door and you're in the GM room and you find the GM essentially like slumped over dead. And then you're like, okay, I now have to do something more and keep going. So if anyone makes this, by the way, I want 10%. But essentially, yeah, like I thought that's where it was going to go. I thought that something was going on with the escape room owners who were going to like, they were going to do something, or there was some, that they had a connection that we didn't know about. Or there was going to be a twist that way. But I didn't see this one coming whatsoever. But I think that twists in escape rooms, as we all know, are the best. Like when you stuff like the dome, you just don't know what's coming next. And you're constantly guessing. And yeah, it's great. So yeah, this would definitely work.
I guess, and yeah, to wrap it up then, if you were playing and reviewing this room, what would you both rate it out of 5?
Well, I got out of my coma, so I guess I'd be like, I'd be so happy to get out of that coma. I mean, I'd say it's a decent enough little room. I think the GM, he had some issues. Like, yes, a bit of tech not working. You probably mark him down a bit for that. But I mean, and also it didn't feel like if you did the version where it was indeed the version with the twist and it was that escape room, I think I would be giving it a much higher score. I think if it was just the escape room that was played without that element, I'd probably give it like a 3, maybe, just because I think it's fairly like just sort of standard escape room to me. But I think I'd probably give it a 0 for being locked up. Ignoring that section, but yeah, being locked up, I would immediately be like, no, this is not good. I don't like this. But I'd say it feels like a fairly middle of the road room to me.
Nice. I'd go slightly higher with it. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. The signposting for those early puzzles and the kind of solves they were are exactly the kind of things that tickle my brain in the right way. That one with the map where you have the piece of string to do the locations and get the digit when you sort of create that.
Love that.
That I know for a fact I'd love that. And then the crawl in between sections immediately would bump it up for me.
True.
I think a few tweaks to the signposting. I think you've got a really solid room, and the tech issues aside as well. I give it 4 golden hairs.
Golden.
I'm with Jamie on this one. I would rate it higher. I would rate it, probably 4 out of 5. For me, that is based entirely on the fact I'm judging it as a British escape room, which, as the UK Terpica ambassador, I should be a lot nicer to British escape rooms. But it's no the Dome in the Netherlands. But I think if I was playing rooms around the UK, especially in Chester, nothing against Chester, but if I just happened to be in the general Chester area and I played that, I'd be like, yeah, this is a solid escape room. Exactly what you said. I appreciate the crawl space. I appreciate multiple rooms. Like, there were some clever puzzles. Like, if I as a viewer can get an aha moment, like just from watching someone solve a paperclip puzzle, I think that's pretty impressive. If this was a real escape room, I would not hesitate to recommend it. I would say 4 out of 5 for me.
Nice. Yeah. Good job, Steve Pemberton and Risha Smith. If you're listening, we know you're big fans. Done a bloody good escape room.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they smashed it, and I think out of all the things I've seen escape rooms in, they've painted the most accurate picture, and it's British. I think it may be the only example of a British escape room in all of television.
There are a couple more that we'll get into in future episodes, but that I've glanced at. But this is by far the most accurate depiction of a real escape room that I've seen in media.
Ooh. That was so intriguing, Jamie. I need to see your list.
It's not a long list. There aren't that many.
They can put that on the back of the DVD. Like the DVD. I mean, who buys that? Like, whatever. Like, essentially, they could use that. The most accurate depiction of an escape room in British media.
Alex, one more time. Where can people find you and your work?
So, yes, you can go to clockwork.dog to see what we do there, which is mainly us servicing the immersive sector, but also you can go to cogs.show, where you can find more about the COGS system. And also we have just launched a TikTok account, which has nothing on it, but maybe by the time you're listening to this, cogs.show is the handle. We do have an Instagram account, which we are using, which is also the same, cogs.show, if you would like to follow us on there.
I want to see you, Alex, dancing to like TikTok trend videos whilst showcasing escape rooms.
That's how you get the engagement. We don't make the rules.
yeah. I've sold my soul.
Thank you very much for listening to this new thing we're trying here with Puzzle Creators React. If you did like this, please let us know, and we would love to hear your suggestions for which popular culture escape rooms we should look at next. And don't forget, you can subscribe to The Infinite Escape Room wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes every week. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky at The Infinite Escape Room. And again, if you've liked what you've heard, please leave us a review or a comment. It helps appease the algorithm and also just lets us know that you're out there listening. And if you really like the show, you can consider joining our Patreon program, which you can find by heading to patreon.com/The Infinite Escape Room. There you can get access to bonus content, early access recordings, and all manner of fun podcast shenanigans. Your host this week has been me, Mairi. We've been joined by Jamie and a very special guest, Alex. Well, thank you so much. This has been The Infinite Escape Room. We love you lots, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.